Mayfield, quick toss, open is Peoples-Jones, bowling over Robert Alford for the touchdown!
Hi, my name is David Lawrence, and I've been a strength and conditioning coach for over 15 years, and I've worked with over 70 professional football players, more than a dozen who've been drafted in the first round, and have made over $1 billion with a B in contract earnings. I've also worked and trained with countless high school and college football players to personal best seasons, scholarships, and giving them a chance to play in the NFL. Most high school and college football players have no idea how to train to run faster, get stronger, or gain size. In this video, I'm going to lay out the complete guide for football players, especially high school and college athletes, to completely transform your body and ability in one off season. There are 5 categories that need to be looked at, and depending on where the athlete is, need to be addressed in this order of importance. The first thing is, what is the most important thing that you need to work on this offseason to be a better football player? What I do as a strength coach when I look at an athlete is see what is the biggest room for improvement that is going to make this athlete better for next year. I want to find out first, how much does this kid need to weigh and how much muscle mass do they need to have? If you're in high school and haven't been lifting weights consistently for at least 2 to 3 years, you have tremendous room for improvement by getting on a specific individualized training and nutrition plan for you. And just by doing good strength training over the course of 3 to 4 months, you have the potential to gain 18 to 25 pounds of muscle mass and run 0.2 to 0.3 seconds faster in the 40, depending on where you're at right now. The second thing is how I'm going to be able to improve speed. Speed is a byproduct of many factors, including brain, fiber type, strength, and flexibility, and anthropoetic measurements like femur length. To improve speed, the number one most important thing to do is to improve something called relative strength. That is your strength to weight ratio. This is how strong you are for how much you weigh. I love looking at functional tests like basic barbell squats and deadlifts. For athletes to start seeing their strength carry over to speed on the field, I like to look at strength numbers in these lifts. My favorite lift that has a great carryover to acceleration, which is everything in football, is the front squat. The reason I like the front squat is that it's hard to cheat. What I want my athletes to be able to do is to be able to front squat 1.4 times their body weight for 3 reps with a 3-second pause at the bottom. The 3-second pause trains the body to go from a dead stop and accelerate a load, which is what happens every single play in football. You go from 0 to 100 as fast as you can. Pausing for 3 seconds at the bottom completely takes out the elastic quality of the movement and forces the athlete to contract and to accelerate their body out of an isolated position. Also, pausing for 3 seconds ensures proper training technique. And this is the biggest reason why high school and college athletes don't develop in the off season, is that their training is completely horrible. The basics aren't being done, like proper form, progressive overload, good solid periodization, and individualized program design. Unfortunately, in a lot of high school and even college weight rooms, many athletes are really training unsupervised. And when there's a group of 25 to 50 kids and 1 or 2 coaches, the ability for safe, quality, progressive work to get done is rare. There are some programs that do a great job, but that is actually the exception. And those programs that do a great job in the weight room are consistently developing Division I talent. Shout out to my boy, strength coach, Coach Juice. He's in Florida in the Clearwater, St. Pete's area, and he does an unbelievable job at his high school. Just this past year, they've had over 10 guys get offered college football scholarships, which is pretty incredible. Having a great strength coach in college is absolutely a game changer. So shout out to Coach Juice. Next, let's talk about size and how to put on 18 to 25 pounds of muscle in the off season, not fat. Number 1, you need to have a plan and be consistent with it. Number 2, the plan is training 4 to 5 times a week, strength training with an upper and lower split. Each of those sessions should last about 50 to 60 minutes and not going beyond that. So when you're in the gym, you're training super hard, you're focused, and you're not wasting time. Number 3 is nutrition, eating 5 to 6 times a day and having double calorie weekends. And number 4, flexibility training, stretching 5 to 6 times a week. I like to do it at night before I go to bed, and usually it takes 20 to 25 minutes. Increasing your flexibility is critical for speed, actually strength too, and recovery. Flexibility is a physical quality that is completely underrated. So many kids are super tight and it's affecting their speed. Your ability to produce force in end ranges is very important to increasing speed and decreasing the risk of injury. Number 5, sleep. You need to commit to good sleep. Committing to good sleep is going to bed by 10 p.m. every single night, no exceptions. So a great example of this is a guy I played with and also trained as an NFL NFL athlete named Nick Ballore. Nick was a freshman at Central Michigan University when I was a junior, and Nick became one of the best football players in CMU history. He went undrafted in the NFL and is currently on his 14th season with the Washington Commanders and has gone to 2 Pro Bowls. One of the things that Nick always did was have a great sleep routine, and he credits that for getting him in shape and staying so productive over 14 years in the NFL. Currently, he's playing at the age of 36 with no decline in performance. That's crazy. That's insane. All right, Nick's secret weapon was that he would sleep over 9 hours each night, and this has led to him overachieving and playing at such a high level for so long. But like, overachieving is really just doing the basics consistently well and being focused on doing the things that are gonna move the needle and make you perform as well as you can at the next level. Sleeping has 3 main benefits that nobody talks about. First, improving upside. Athletes who have good, consistent sleep have a greater ability to reach their genetic potential as an athlete. I would say that most athletes are not even close to doing this because they have poor habits outside of the game of football. And there's no greater place that this shows up than in rest and recovery. The better you sleep, which is quantity and quality, the higher upside you have. Second, sleeping is directly correlated to injury prevention. Good sleep improves your longevity as an athlete, specifically due to mitigating the risk potential as an athlete. Quality sleep improves motor learning and has the greatest effect on improving you as a football player, skill-wise, on the field. The next thing I want to talk about is nutritional status. The one supplement that I would take would be a protein shake after each workout. At our gyms, shakes are included at the end of each training session because they are so important in aiding in recovery and getting additional protein consumption. Water intake and electrolytes really help. With nutrition, it's incredibly important to have your bases covered. Eating enough protein to support muscle growth and recovery from training. But it's not just muscles that need protein. Your brain, organs, immune system require amino acids to function for multiple different reasons. Eating adequate protein throughout the day usually means eating protein at each meal. A good goal for athletes is to shoot for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. For an athlete that is 175 pounds, who's trying to get to about 195 pounds, they should be eating 195 grams of protein per day. However, the most important thing for me with athletes is getting at least 80 to 90% of your diet from whole foods and not eating excessive processed foods. Eating processed foods has become an epidemic that is negatively affecting health and athletic performance. What most athletes and coaches don't realize is that health and performance go together. They are not opposed. When I was in college, our strength coach, to beef us up, wanted us to eat between 4 to 5 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and drink 4 to 5 pre-made processed drinks per day. This unfortunately was a horrible idea that increased inflammation and gut irritation for almost all of the guys on the football team. In fact, due to poor nutrition, almost every single one of our athletes on the football team had some kind of tendon or ligament pain going into the season. In the last 20 plus years since I was playing, nutrition education and information has improved dramatically. So let's talk about how to get stronger. It's understanding the importance of something called structural balance. Football is a game of acceleration. Depending on the position you play, you're going to be exposed to repetitive movement patterns that cause compensation and overuse versus other muscles in your body. Offensive and defensive linemen typically have the most compensation issues because they have less variability in movement than, let's say, linebackers, wide receivers, or defensive backs. This is why many offensive linemen in the NFL continue to deteriorate at a faster rate and have pain in their lower back and knees. Many of them, if they don't know how to train properly, start having pain and don't know how to rehab it and end up training around the injuries, and those weak muscles never get stronger. This further exacerbates the problem, and they often have to stop training altogether and focus solely on trying to recover in the off season because they don't know how to get stronger safely. And during the season, it takes everything just to get ready to be available for the next game the following week. For example, when offensive linemen are pass blocking, they are absorbing force. And depending on which side of the line they're on, it creates an imbalance and displacement due to the repetitive trauma. So what you'll see is that tackles in the NFL have more low back issues than centers because they're always pass setting on one side. It is extremely important to train for structural balance immediately after the season is over. So what does structural balance training look like? A lot of single limb, right to left, front to back work. So split squats over squats, dumbbell work over barbell work, usually more pulling, rowing, and chinning than flat pressing. In this phase, with all my athletes, we do initial assessment to see what muscles are weak, what muscles are tight and exposed to potential injury in the future that could be limiting power output and slowing down speed. The first 2 to 3 phases of our program are focused on strengthening the whole body using like these isolation exercises, but giving priority to those muscles or groups of muscles that are weak. Depending on the athlete, it usually takes 8 to 12 weeks of structural balance training to get the athlete ready to move on to more compound exercises like squats, presses, and deadlifts, or pull variations. But structural balance training is the most important phase in the off season because what you're doing is bringing up weak links and limiting factors. This always makes the body stronger, more resilient to injury, and allows us to train at a higher level of intensity without negatively affecting the joints that would have been beat up during the year. This is honestly the missing link in so many training programs because what happens is that an athlete has imbalances or compensation issues, and in the first phase they'll go back to bench pressing and throwing a bar on their back. If they have these imbalances, doing bilateral work will almost inherently exacerbate the imbalances and lead to negative performance on the field, or something called a negative training transfer. So training transfer is what you do in the gym and how it's going to affect your ability on the field of play. That's really what you want in the weight room, is you want positive transfer. So there's a negative training transfer from the gym to the field because the athlete is training through pain or compensation patterns to move the weight. When an athlete has pain, power output from the brain to the working muscles is almost always negatively affected. And that is why structural balance training in building good quality tissue and flexibility is so important. Each phase of the program, the athlete should be getting healthier, have more energy, and feel better. The next phase after structural balance is something we like to call integration, where we start prioritizing compound lifts like squats, deadlifts, and presses. We do this only when all of the structural balance issues have been resolved or addressed. Remember, we're looking for training transfer, not necessarily hitting a PR in the first 6 weeks back. Our goal in training is for the athlete to be able to increase their loads with perfect form, using full range of motion, and slowly controlling the lowering or eccentric portion of the lift. This is very important. We're not looking to hit PRs in the gym. We are looking for the athlete to be able to control a heavy load and accelerate it with good form and technique. Some of the numbers that we like to see our high school athletes hit is that 1.4 times body weight front squat for 3 reps, lowering the weight for 5 seconds and pausing it for 3 seconds at the bottom before coming up. This is a great lift for us because it will transfer to accelerating on the field. We use this number to tell us that the athlete is strong enough before we will consider going on to methods like Olympic lifting or improving force development. For the upper body, we like our athletes to be able to incline bench press 1.25 times body weight for 3 reps, again lowering for 5 seconds and controlling the weight. We use multiple different strength tests, and depending on what the position the athlete plays and what angle they need to produce force at. But those 2 exercises are really good for high school athletes to hit, and it usually takes a minimum of 6 months of training to get there. For some athletes, a couple years. It really just depends on the athlete and different individual factors. So if you want to make this year your best year, you need to lock in and be serious. Sleep is so underrated, and if you can outsleep your opponents, you will win. Food is fuel. It gives you the ability to perform at your highest level day in and day out. Great nutrition is a massive advantage that will speed up your progress in muscle mass and size. Finally, training well takes an intuitive, individualized approach. You can't just go into the weight room and start jacking up weight. You need to be patient and understand the weak links and limiting factors that can be holding up your progress. By training for structural balance and driving up your compound lifts over time that will transfer to the field of play, you will have given yourself a massive advantage and have given yourself the potential to have the best season of your life.